Ramachandra Parajay Sharanam. Ramachandra Parajay Sharanam. Bali ki trasaka pisha base giri jata Mahaprabhu Pantaniho. Choki Mahamuni Sapadiyo Tabachaye Kona Bachar Bacha. Kade Vijarupa Luwaya Mahaprabhu Sotumadasa Kisokaniwa. There's 3 schools of thought in Hinduism concerning the gender of God. One is that God is ultimately a male or originally a male. One is that God is originally a female. And then one is that God is beyond gender. Some of you might actually identify with the third school of thought more, that God is non-dual, God is Advaita. Advaita means non-dual, and gender is a construct of duality. In fact, it says in Srimad Bhagavatam that gender is actually like the origin of duality. It's not light or dark, it's not male or it's not good and evil. It is male and female is kind of the beginning of this whole dualistic reality that we live in. But let's talk about God as a woman today, because I think a lot of people are curious as to what God looks like as a woman. If you're a woman, you probably are curious about that because you might have been raised, Christian, and where God is the Father, and you think that women should have power, and that's cool and interesting. And then if you're a man, you still might be curious, like, is God a beautiful woman? That's a good question. So what you see in Canto 8 of Srimad Bhagavatam is that God does incarnate in the form of a woman, and that woman's name is Mohini. Mohini, which is a really interesting double meaning in Sanskrit. Sanskrit has a lot of cool double meanings and even triple meanings. Like the word go in Sanskrit, it means land, it means cows, and it means senses. Now, why would it mean all those 3? Because the cows live off the land and then they produce milk, which satisfies your senses. So Mohini means beautiful, but it also means bewildering, and is kind of an interesting cause and effect thing. Same with the word go, where Mohini's beauty actually is bewildering, and she uses her beauty to bewilder the Asuras. And so basically, we have this pastime, this epic pastime of the churning of the milk ocean, which is one of my favorite pastimes in Hinduism. And I'll do a video on that because it's really cool pastime in and of itself. And so basically, the demigods and the Asuras are teaming up to produce nectar of immortality. They're both working together, which is interesting, to produce this nectar that will make them both immortal. Now, at the end, the Asuras steal all the nectar from the demigods, and the demigods have to go to Lord Vishnu to get Vishnu to make this right so they can get the nectar back. And so they ask Lord Vishnu to help them out. And so Lord Vishnu goes to the Asuras in the form of a woman. And the Asuras, the word Asura is oftentimes translated as demon, but if you, it's a little more complicated than just to say that they're demons. Anyways, so Mohini, which is Vishnu as a woman, goes to the Asuras, and she walks into the room, and the Asuras are actually fighting over this nectar of immortality among themselves. Because after they steal all the nectar from the demigods, they argue among themselves how it's going to be distributed furthermore. And it's interesting because the stronger Asuras take all the nectar from the weaker Asuras, and the weaker Asuras are complaining to the stronger Asuras that they should all get their fair share, and the stronger Asuras are saying, no, only the stronger people are allowed to have this nectar. It's interesting, and you see that in this political, sort of landscape as far as the distribution of wealth and how that occurs. But anyways, Mohini walks in, and she's extremely beautiful, and as soon as the Asuras see her walk into the room, they're just completely awestruck by this beautiful, gorgeous woman. Okay, and they've never seen anything like this before. This is like the most beautiful woman you could ever imagine, and they're just completely baffled. And she goes, okay, I see. Hey guys, I see that you guys are fighting over this nectar, and you don't know how to distribute it, but luckily I'm here. Just give all the nectar to me, and I will distribute it fairly among you. And she is so beautiful that she bewilders the demons into giving her all of this nectar. They just, without asking any questions, as they had just met this person, and they just give her all the nectar. And what does she do? Well, she turns around and gives the nectar back to the demigods because they kind of deserved it in the first place. But there is one demon by the name of Rahu who's a little smarter than the other demons, and he kind of realizes that, hey, I don't completely trust this person. Why are we just giving this nectar to this beautiful woman who came out of nowhere? So he's like, nah, I'm going to drink this nectar. And he starts to drink the nectar. And as soon as he starts to drink the nectar, Mohini takes her Sudarshan chakra disc, which is one of the four main weapons of Vishnu, and she slices off the demon's head as he's drinking the nectar, which is cool because the nectar enters his mouth, but it doesn't go into the rest of his body. So his head gets cut off from his body, but his head becomes immortal because his head had already drinking the nectar. And so Rahu is the planet of eclipses, as you may know. And so his head is what is blocking, the sun during an eclipse. And so that's sort of interesting. And it's interesting to see how, women can use their beauty to get what they want. And that's what Mohini did. So, not to say it's a good thing or a bad thing. And that's even under, a situation where people believe that, the male is the ultimate cause. But there is, as I had said, there is a philosophy where actually God is a woman. That is another belief system. And so in addition to Srimad Bhagavatam, you have a book called Srimad Devi Bhagavatam. And it's like almost the exact same scenario. And it talks about all these different pastimes, except God is ultimately a woman. And even Vishnu himself, Vishnu is still a male, but Vishnu is empowered by this mysterious person called the Devi. And that's really all that you know. And even Lakshmi, who is Vishnu's consort, Lakshmi is a woman, Lakshmi is female, but she is still subject to this higher being called the Devi, which is kind of, it really adds to it gives an element of mystery to this whole equation, because God is unknowable, whether God is Krishna or Vishnu. But with Vishnu, we still know, okay, he has his four arms, he has a club, he has a chakra disc, or maybe God is Krishna originally, and Krishna is with the gopis and Vrindavan. Devi, we really don't know who the Devi is, except that she comes in and helps Vishnu. She's kind of like a godfather, she's a godmother. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and please like and subscribe. Ravana Druda Janakiyo Tabanaga Kipamsa Sabe Sirida Shri Raghunatha Sameta Sabedala Moha Bayaya Hasan Kataba Anika Gesha Tabe Hanumana Jubanda Nakati Sudrasaniwa Kona Injanate Jagamen Prabhu Sankata Mochana Namatiya Bandu Sameta Jabe Ahirawana Le Raghunatha Patala Sira Devi Puji Bali Bidi So Bali Deo Sabe Mili Matra Bacha Jaya Sahaya Bayo Tabahiya Irawan Yasini Sameta Samo Kona Injanate Jagamen Prabhu Sankata Mochana Namatiya Kajakiye Barde Vanake Tumabira Mahaprabhu Deki Bacha Kona Susankata Mora Garibe Gojotum Sinahi Jata Hita Begiyaro Anumana Mahaprabhu Jaya Maharaja Nichama Kona Injanate Jagamen Prabhu Sankata Mochana Namatiya Lala De Ala Le La Se Ardari Lala Go Vajra Dea Dhanavadalana Jai 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 Kapisora Siyava Ramachandra Pada Jai Sharanam